Well, hello everybody. It is Joe from the Strange Voyage Files. It is June 2nd, 2025, and I am going to do a. This is a little different. I'm going to do my ranking, but I'm also this. The point of this video, if you could tell, is does the Black Album suck? This is something that has gone back and forth with people. I don't know if maybe since the album came out, I'd give it some leeway to maybe about 6 months to a year after it came out. But definitely whenever Nothing Else Matters was released is probably where the big push came for does this album suck? As you can tell behind me, it's laundry day, so pardon the mess on the bed. I'm going to do the ranking first, and I'm not going to play music because I haven't done a Metallica album on this channel yet where I try to put in snippets of each song. I just know they're going to take it down, that it's going to be rejected by YouTube. They're going to pull a Sharon Osbourne, the evil troll, and it's not. It's just going to be a waste to do that. So I'm not going to play music for this. I'll just go through the tracks and do the ranking real quick, and then we'll talk about whether or not this album sucks or not. Okay, first track. Now, and I remember when this single first hit, and people went nuts, and even the people. This is the kind of the reason I'm making this video in this vein is to does this album suck? Even the people who now say that album sucks, the Black Album sucks, loved this song. Everybody on the planet is sick of it at this point in time. But when Enter Sandman first came out, they loved it. Before the album came out, there was trepidation. People were kind of, oh, I don't know if I'm into this. I don't know how this album's going to be because Bob Rock of Bon Jovi and Motley Crue fame, was producing the album. So there was a lot of fear that we were going to get Slippery When Wet metallicized. But when Enter Sandman came out, that pretty much calmed everybody's fear. It was universally loved. I got to go back to 91 because if I rank Enter Sandman now after hearing it 250 trillion times, it's going to be a 0. But in 91, I was just as excited as everybody else. I loved it. It's a 5. Absolutely is 5. Again, some of you are going to be going, are you out of your mind? Try to pull yourself out of 2025. Remember when we first heard it, and every time we heard it, there was a lot of excitement. The first time you saw the video, you went nuts. In fact, I believe there was even in Chicago, there was even a news story about it. So Enter Sandman definitely gets a 5. The second one is one of the best in my view on the album. And again, it's a holdover from the from Master of Puppets era, Sad But True. It's a 5 too. I think it's awesome. It's got that mid-tempo. It's just a jam, and I absolutely loved it when it came out. Next one is Holier Than Thou. That one never really did too much for me. Maybe a slight step above a filler song, but I'll give that one a 3. Now, the next one is The Unforgiven. And, this one was huge. Video was huge and ominous and strange and, this old man stuck in this room all his entire life. So it was very, very, very dark. But the song was okay. I give it a 2. Wherever I May Roam, huge hit for them. At this point they are, selling out arenas left and right. The video reflected that. But still, I always thought Wherever I May Roam was a great song, and I give it a 5. Next song, Don't Tread on Me, the band hates. I think it's the best song on the album. I used to listen to this song over and over, and I will still do it. 5. I think Don't Tread on Me is unbelievable. I love that song. And a lot of people hate it. A lot of people can't stand Don't Tread on Me, just like the band doesn't like it. I think Wherever I May Roam and Don't Tread on Me is a 1-2 punch. Awesome. Through the Never, nothing for me. Absolutely nothing for me. Again, this is one I know a lot of people love. It's a 1. Absolutely a 1. Okay, now you go into the big one. Nothing Else Matters. This is where, when people heard it on the album, when they first bought the album, it was like, what is this? This is not For Whom the Bell Tolls. This is not Fade to Black. This is not an acceptable ballad for Metallica. The song, I give it a 3 because the song itself is okay. But yeah, this is where people, and again, it's a love song. Fade to Black is not a love song. The song itself is decent, but it's a 3. The next one is Of Wolf and Man. It's okay. The rest of this album, with the exception of one, has lost me. Wolf and Man is okay. It's just almost a filler track. I give that one a 2. The God That Failed, I think, is the worst song on the album. I know a lot of people absolutely love this song. That's, a lot of people, I know this is one of the few songs they like off this album. I mean, it's terrible. Filler, 1. My Friend of Misery, 1 as well. That never did anything for me. I never thought it was all that great. The last one is good. The Struggle Within, I give a 3. It's kind of got a nice groove to it. It's not a song I really go out of my way to play, but it's good. It's an average song. So when you add them all up and average it out, it's a 3. So this album is a 3, which would be about right as an average album. All right. Does it suck? For me, it doesn't suck. It's not an album I go back to all the time by any means. I will play tracks off it, especially Don't Tread on Me. And the album sold 205 trillion copies. I'm actually trying to find it. Hang on. 20 million copies in the U.S. alone, and then worldwide 30 million copies. That means something. And it was number 1 for I think it was exactly 6 weeks until Garth Brooks released one of his songs or albums, and nobody knew who Garth Brooks was. And I actually remember the interview with when this album dropped to number 2, and Lars goes, "Who the hell is Garth Brooks?" Yeah, he knocked this album out of the number 1 spot. But obviously, this is just a monster album. Does it suck for me? No. However, did it suck for everybody? Now, this is really difficult judgment call because, to sit here and say, oh, well, it didn't suck for everybody, say, well, how do you know how I felt? I'm going to go back to 91. I'm not talking about now. This album really has rubbed people the wrong way now and whatnot, but everybody bought this album. There are people who say, I heard Enter Sandman, it sucked, I didn't buy this album. I will call you out right now. The vast majority of you are liars. You bought this album. You know you did. I'm sure there are a few people out there that heard Enter Sandman and said no. There are people that, after one, wrote Metallica off. So yes, there is a selection of people that did not buy this album. However, the vast majority of people today who are saying, no, I heard Enter Sandman and I didn't buy this album, they're liars. They're absolute liars. Now, by the time they got to Nothing Else Matters, maybe The Unforgiven, maybe a few other songs, the album does have filler songs in it, then they may have said, it's not Master, it's not Lightning, which is true. But the backlash this album gets now is understandable now, not back then. Because I remember everybody bought this album. And I think one of the things that was a problem with this album for true for people who are truly into metal, the real headbangers, was that their little sisters who were buying New Kids on the Block bought this album. The guy in high school that was screwing with them because they were headbangers bought this album. The cheerleader that wouldn't go out with them bought this album. So there's a lot of factors as to why people didn't like this album after the fact. But initially, and like I say, I'll give it the first few months because there was a big buzz about this album. And pretty much everybody was on board. As you go to Metallica shows and you see 3-4 nights in the same city, and that guy who, in today's day and age can't use any words that would offend anybody, but didn't say nice things to you in high school because you were wearing a jean jacket with an Iron Maiden patch and a Metallica patch, is got better seats than you. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. This Metallica was always, well, I shouldn't say always, for the first 3 albums were the people's band. Now, I was not a big Metallica freak by any means. Even when I got into metal, it took me a few years later to get into Metallica, and I got into Metallica in the Justice phase. So this was the Black Album was the first new release album I got from Metallica. I never, even to this day, I never flew the Metallica flag the way I do the Black Sabbath flag or the Blizzard of Oz band flag or, the Iron Maiden flag or the Dio flag. No, I just didn't. I didn't, and I never have. I never will. I don't worship those first, 3 albums, but especially Lightning and Puppets the way people do. I don't think Puppets nearly deserves the praise that it gets. But that's another video. Does the album itself suck, or does all the baggage that came with it suck? Because not only are there subpar songs for people in people's opinions on the album, it changed Metallica. And the argument could be said, going back to Justice, that Metallica changed. And yes, there's some truth to that because of the success of one. But I think that people, especially people that were with Metallica, which I wasn't since day one, this was a real stab in the eyes for them. It was a stab in the throat. It was from the band. This was not their Metallica. What a lot of people complain about with Iron Maiden, how long the songs are. Well, they didn't mind that from Metallica. It was cool. It was fine having the longer songs on Master of Puppets. It wasn't their Metallica anymore. They didn't like the idea of walking down the hallway and that jock that always screwed with them blasting this album. And then going back and listening to Master of Puppets and going back and listening to Ride the Lightning. Because remember another thing about this album, and this happens when bands, have extraordinarily successful albums, their back catalog sells like crazy too. So now that same person that was giving you all this grief for having a Metallica patch or wearing a metal up your ass Metallica shirt is blasting Ride the Lightning. And I think a lot of hatred was focused on this album because this is where it changed. Then you go into Load and Reload, and Metallica's lost. It's not the same band that it was in the 80s. So musically, does the album suck? No. Did as many people who say now that the album sucks think it sucked back then? No, they didn't. And again, I know some people are going to go in the comments and say, yes, I did. Maybe you did. But the masses that say I hated that album from day one, I can't stand it, blah blah, that wasn't true. I remember because I remember, and I remember the headbangers, and I remember the first few months. Again, for some people, it didn't take too long, matter of weeks, matter of months, and then they said, "Yeah, sure," but they still went and saw Metallica in concert. I think the years have shifted the view of this album. So I would never say it sucks. I definitely liked it back better then. And that's another thing. These songs have been played and so played to death. It's like back AC/DC Back in Black. I'm not the biggest AC/DC fan by any means, but I played Back in Black over and over and over. I can't listen. I cannot listen to You Shook Me All Night Long at all. And I think that's a big thing with this album too. So I think there's factors as to why people don't like it now, and I think that's just a strong hatred. Say I've always hated the album. So, but I do remember, and I do remember a lot of people liked it. Most people liked it. With time, that faded. And it wasn't and for a while, everybody wasn't saying the whole album sucked. They said that parts of the album sucked. That was right out of the gate. But now this whole, well, the Black Album sucks, it just sucks, it just sucks, it just sucks. That wasn't the case. That's changed over time. So, all right, that's my review of the Black Album and my 2 cents on whether or not it sucks. Does it suck? No. Is it a great album? No. It's definitely no Diary of a Madman. It is no, but I don't think Master of Puppets is a Diary of a Madman either. So I may not be the best person in the world to make a Metallica video. I'll take Peace of Mind over Master of Puppets without even batting an eyelash. I'll take Shout at the Devil. I'll take High and Dry over Master of Puppets without batting an eyelash. But again, that's just me. All right. So thanks again. I know I'm supposed to hit my daughter's still got to do the Instagram and the X and all that stuff. Whatever. All right, guys. Like, comment, do all that stuff. Hit the join button, and I'll see you when I see you.